Welcome to Late Night TA, the show where you tell me your favorite coins and I draw lines on them. If you want your favorite coin reviewed on this show, don't forget to join my free Facebook group and vote for your favorite coin. Alright, so the first one up for this episode is OMG. We're just looking at the daily chart here. We've had a nice double top recently after a breakout of this this downtrend here, which you could argue was a descending triangle if you look at it like that. And it's popped up to the upside. So the interesting things here are that we have now a golden cross on the daily. So without seeing, we haven't had 200 days worth of history, so I don't know what it was like back here. So this is the first time that's officially crossed. We did a double top a couple of days ago, and now we've pulled back to this support line. So, you know, by all accounts, this thing is still bullish. So just in this area here, it's definitely bullish. We had that rejection down at 120,000 sats, just rejected straight off that. So maybe if we move the line to about here, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. There's a point here and here and here, a rejection here. It's bounced off there. I mean, 120 is a nice round number as well. Shot off. It's gone all the way up to 180 where it was previously double top. Now it's come back. We look at that. That is a 382 fib retrace. So perfectly normal in the grand scheme of things. I mean, for me, this is not a bad entry if you're not in already. Yeah, things are looking pretty good for OMG. I mean, I don't see anything that's saying, you know, bail or anything. So, I mean, you could argue there's some sort of trend line here where you got higher lows bouncing up and down. So, as long as price sort of keeps going like this, we should be right. Had some good news recently coming out of Thailand too. They got some identification system or something had just come out, so they just signed a contract with the Thai government, I think it was. So, you know, I mean, it's all good stuff. On the 4 hour, it doesn't look as good because it looks like there's a head and shoulders here, so it could break down through this area. So just be careful. For me, I'm just going to hold OMG. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that coin. It's a real company with a real product, and people are using it now. So, you know, this is one of my bags that'll be holding for a while. But I mean, if you're short-term trading it, just be careful here. It could drop. That is head and shoulders. You know, you could argue technically it's not because it's broken the neckline here, but you know, rejected and bounced all the way back up to 180. So, if Bitcoin starts to take off, like most alts, this one will probably fall. But RSI is not super low, so there's a chance it could drop down to maybe 150 if it does. But on the daily, everything's looking really good. Like it's above both of those EMAs there too. So we've got some deceleration here as well. So you've got a big red candle and a shorter one, and then an even smaller dojis like this. So it's starting to decelerate and curve. So we'll just see what the next couple of days looks like. So not too worried about OMG. Everything's good there. Right, next up is VeChain, or the old VEN. So there's roughly a line around the 50k mark. The rejection, maybe here is more like it, maybe around 48. So overall price is looking like it wants to do that. If this doesn't make another higher high, like if price doesn't come up past here, if it doesn't break here, we want to, well, it could end up turning into, it could end up doing something like this, right? A bit early to tell, but it could end up being a ascending triangle. That's one possibility. Get rid of that. The other is that it just, comes up and then just falls down. So, but, right now we're still creating higher lows, so that's a positive. I mean, here was just, a parabolic shot up. So that was obvious that it needed to cool off. So, price needed to, people were going to take profit here. I mean, that shot straight up really quickly. So profit taking here, we're coming back down to support line. We're still creating higher lows though, so this is still bullish. I mean, this hasn't not been bearish yet. If it starts to fall below this line, this trend line here, or this 50 MA, then you want to be careful. If you're long-term holding, this doesn't really matter, but if you're trading and this falls below this line, then yeah, you want to look to sell. But nothing worrying me about VEN at this stage. Still looks pretty good. Even say that that's a channel right there that could start bouncing like that. Who knows? Still too early to tell. I'd wait a few more days to see what happens. We do have volume dropping off though, so something is going to happen soon. Usually when volume starts dropping, it's waits for an explosion, and then a huge volume bar comes up, and then it'll either spike up or spike down. So keep an eye on it. RSI is still in the middle. We're not overbought or oversold. This is just gonna. Yeah, I don't know. It's still bullish though, so I wouldn't be too concerned. ICX icon. We don't need that line. Let's get rid of that. This is looking super bearish to me. I don't like this at all. Yeah, wrong tool. Let's look at here. You could argue for a head and shoulders pattern. Pretty but ugly. But in essence, you've got higher high, higher low, higher high, and then higher low, then lower high. And we're starting to create lower lows. So this is zigzagging its way down. RSI is oversold, so there could be, it could bounce somewhere around here, but there's nothing in terms of, price structure. There's no support. There's like underneath here, there's a big load of nothing. So where is price going to stop? There's no previous zones where it did stop before. Perhaps here, perhaps around 3,000. Let's go down the 4 hour and have a look. Got the death cross. We're creating lower lows and lower highs. RSI is crazy oversold, so it might bounce, but it's not something I want to get involved with. Like it could. Why didn't that? Price is broken, back down, rejection, break, finally retest, springboard up to 9,000, and then we sort of hovered around there, and then a big high test candle through here, and then it's just fallen, bang, down. Like this here is a descending triangle, right? So traditionally these things break downwards. You know, you could buy here and take it back up to this trend line here, or even the 50 EMA, but the whole thing's just heading down. Yeah, it's not great. There's probably better alts out there. I mean, as far as trading is concerned, I don't really like this at all. So, I mean, but this is just my style, right? So I'm a bit more conservative than most. Don't like to take too many risks. You know, risk management is key. Because if you don't have any money and you can't trade and you can't practice and you can't compound, right? So just taking, yeah, sometimes the best trade is to not take one at all. There is a double bottom. I mean, overall, in terms of Fibonacci, we are at the 618, so it's a fairly strong level, and RSI is oversold. It's good. I mean, it's not a bad spot to take a trade, but it's just come down. I mean, it's just creating higher lows, and if this breaks through here, if this falls through here and then comes up and then does something like this, it's not going to be pretty. There's nothing down here to stop it. Like, you might get a pause here and then here, but you want to hope that it does bounce and hopefully does something like that. You want to be, for me, if I was to enter on this, I would want to wait for price to come up through here and then buy around here on the pullback, just to make sure that we were starting the next bullish trend. Especially with Bitcoin looking very, it's looking like it wants to take off. So that's Icon. THETA is an interesting one. THETA, this is the daily chart. THETA Bitcoin daily chart. We've had this. Where's the line tool? So we've had this this downtrend here, which we can't really see. Let's make it a bit thicker. There we go. So we've had this downtrend, which has been broken to the upside, and now it's come back to retest it. So probably around something like that. Let's go thicker so we can see. So let's go the 4 hour, might be easier. So we had, so this is when the token was launched and it shot up, and then, profit taking, and then we had this consolidation area where this line is, and then it's just shot off. But ever since then, it's been, mega bear city, and now we're consolidating back at this area again. So we broke out of that. We broke out of the descending triangle to the upside, but now we're back here again. So this line is super strong. I mean, the THETA's only been live trading for like 5 weeks, so maybe even not that, maybe 4 or 5 weeks. So there's not a lot to go on, but it's obvious that this level here is pretty strong, and if it breaks here, there is absolutely nothing beneath it, so it could just continue to fall like that. There's nothing for me to say how far it's going to fall, because there's nothing down here and it's too new. In terms of RSI, I mean, it's hard to see, but it's around here in the 40s. I mean, that's not even oversold yet. So buying at this point is, it's not a crazy idea. Oh, we know what that. Oh, there we go. So yeah, it's at it's at a good level. It's at a good support zone, that's for sure. I mean, buying more here, yeah, it could bounce up. It's a little bit high at the moment. Just place your orders around the 1350 to 1300 mark, and have your stops below, so around the 1200-ish. So just below this here, you should be okay. I mean, that's in terms of risk reward, it should be okay. So you're only risking this part, and then your first target to be somewhere around here. You would put your orders around here. Yeah, okay, so that one's theta. Alright, let's have a look. WABI. WABI is almost looks exactly like theta does. There's that support line at 16,000, and we've broken the descending triangle, and now we've just gone up and keep going down again. So I might just move that slightly. So, you know, it's price is rejected here, it's come down, smashed through that, bounced, retraced, and then shot off, and then profit taking, and then price is just going down, 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 zigzag, zigzag. Interesting. So if price was to fall through here, it would probably drop to around the 10,000, maybe 12,000 mark. Like, because there's really nothing. There's nothing. It's just empty space. There's nothing here in terms of price structure for this to stop at. Maybe around this level here would be the first drop. So, you know, that's a good 20% at least, isn't it? Maths off the top of my head. So yeah, be careful here. I mean, looking at it on the 4 hour, that's a pretty decent sized candle. But it has stopped. What's the 1 hour look like? On the 1 hour, it looks like it's double bottoming. You know, RSI is crazy oversold. So, I mean, yeah, like it's double bottoming, there's deceleration, there's these tiny little candles of indecision, and nobody's quite sure what's going on. There's not a lot of volume though either. Like, there's really not a lot of volume. If we look at the daily, that just, if I get rid of this line and just get rid of all the lines, you got higher high, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. This is bearish. This is bear city. There's nothing bullish about this section, with exception of maybe you might be having a falling wedge, which is a bullish pattern. So if I just put that back in there, yeah. So if you trade falling wedges, then this is bullish. I'd be interested to see what happens here. I mean, there's still room in this wedge for it to go sideways for a bit. So there's no need to rush. We're not oversold yet. We haven't decelerated either. You know, what I mean by deceleration is that, you know, these candles are really big. Like, this is bigger than that one, like in terms of the body. This one's smaller, so we're starting to decelerate, but then it just accelerated again. You know, you want to see small ones where price is starting to slow down. Like over here, it was short, and then it got really big, so it started to accelerate, and then it just slowed right down, and then sped up again, then slowed down, then started to speed up, and then really took off. So here, you know, they're all roughly the same size, so that is just like a freight train, just keep going down and down and down. So you want to see some deceleration first, and right now that's just heading downwards. But, you know, there are bullish signs there, so I think this is just a wait and see. Just be patient, just see what happens. I mean, that overall pattern is bullish. We're almost oversold on the daily. You could argue for a bullish divergence as well. We'll just see how this RSI plays out. Yeah, it's a wait and see for me on that one. All right, Stellar Lumens. This one's on Bigtrex. This is bearish. I would not be buying here at all. That is my first impression. It's just falling off a cliff. Like, it's getting worse. Like, these candles are getting bigger and bigger. Like, the acceleration of the selling is getting more and more. Well, in terms of price anyway, like in terms of volume, like there's none. Like it's just dropping like a stone. Like there's no volume at all. Look at that. It's just going down, 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 down. Less people are trading this pair. And to be fair, I mean, look at this. It's just gone from 1,500 all the way up to 6,000 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like a week. We've had, you could argue for a double top, and then it's just down, zigzagging all the way down. This is not a buy for me. Not at all. Like, that's the last all-time high. Back here. See, there's these spikes here. That's where it was touching it before. No, I don't like it at all. I wouldn't be buying. I think this is going to fall further. I think this is going to come back down to here. Just by looking at it. So, I mean, this line that I've drawn is roughly the 50% retrace from the entire move from November last year until the peak in the start of January. So, we've already broken the 382. We've crossed over the daily 50 EMA, which is a big deal. Yeah. No, don't like it. I don't like that one, so I won't be buying any of those. So if you have that, you need to make a decision quick, because you're in that moment where it could fall down to here and you might save yourself, or, you know, do you just keep holding? I mean, if you bought down here, I mean, you know, just keep holding. It's not really going to matter. You're still up. But, you know, if you bought in amongst all this chop, yeah, you might want to consider your position there. I don't really like that. I mean, this one is a coin that I am watching as well. Let's start with the weekly, because the vert coin is actually a pretty old one. It's been around for a while. You know, we get the charts go all the way back to 2014, in fact. So it's like 4 years. So vert coin's been around ages. This is the weekly. You know, most of the time it's been spent, you know, down here at, you know, 2,000, 3,000. But it's picked up of late. So if we go into the daily chart, you know, we had that huge run up in October, November last year. Everybody was talking about ASIC resistant coins and everyone's cheering, and, you know, Vertcoin is the new it coin, but then it's just gradually just sold off. It's just bled all the way back. You know, there was 2 points there where it's bounced off the 33,000-ish level, which is, you know, around, if I move this line down, you can see what I mean. So get this one out of the way as well. Yeah, so I mean, there is price history here. We've had rejections in this area before. Here as well. Here, definitely here. It's broken through that, but bounced up. So, you know, RSI oversold there. Volume is just non-existent. Like, everybody's waiting for Bitcoin, you know, which is quite understandable. You know, we've broken out of this downtrend. We're starting to create higher highs. We had a little bit of a pop. The 50 is still above the 200, so in terms of moving averages, we're still bullish, but in terms of price action, this little section here is definitely bearish, but we've got it started to create higher highs and higher lows. So we've now broken up and then we're coming back. So you could argue for, I'll get rid of this line. So it touches here and here and here and here and then in here, and then it's broken through that. Now it's rejecting it once, twice, like basically 3 times. So, we're not in a bad spot. Overall, though, we're in this huge pattern where you got a touch here, and then there's like 3 more here. So depending on how you look at it, we're in a massive descending triangle, or you could draw something like, why didn't that work? You draw something like that. Potentially, it's probably not the best. Trend lines are ambiguous at the best of times, but if you look on the daily, you can see that there's a here and here and a touching here and then here as well, right? So it is creating higher highs as we go. It's going up slowly. So overall, I mean, this whole period here from the start of 2017 until now is still, overall, it's still going up, right? So buying here is good risk reward. You could have your stops below 30,000. You could even be patient and just have some really low buy orders in here, hoping for a spike down. But the fact that it has broken upwards and then come back and retested it again, but not once but twice. Yeah, it's not a bad spot there. So overall, still going up. So good for Bitcoin. The test will be once we get to the point around here. So that looks like it's going to be April, May-ish. Once we get to April, May, yeah, we should see. You'd like to see it break upwards. So still plenty of time to get on Bitcoin if you're interested. Next one is WALTON. We're below the 50 EMA, and I never liked that. It's broken it. It really depends if it's going to reject it or not, and then keep going up. But there's a clear line here, which it is rejecting, so that's at least a good sign. In terms of fib, we're right at the 50% retrace from the highs. RSI is starting to come into the oversold territory. It's still very steeply coming down, though. May as well get out of the way. It is steeply coming down, though. It's accelerating down. I don't like that. I want to see some deceleration before it swings up. So this is a wait and see. But a death cross approaching on the 4-hour. Looks like a tweezers, though. That could be good. So if this closes green, that's known as a tweezer. I mean, well, even if it closes as red, but if it closes like this, it'll be like a tweezer bottom. So, which if you zoom in further, is actually a double bottom. So if we go in the 15-minute, once, twice. You'd argue for 3, but I would just go with 2. So once, twice. It's bounced twice and now it's starting to go up. Yeah, so if you zoom out, a double bottom usually looks like a tweezer bottom like this. So 2 candles with long wicks pointing down, creating lower lows and lower highs. So it's stuck in here, right? Price needs to be out here, heading upwards. So, I mean, if you haven't bought any WALTON, I wouldn't be in any great hurry to be buying any WALTON. Everything's fine so far. I mean, we had this huge run up. You'd be crazy not to take some profit, and that's what some people have done. So, which is why we've got this bleed out. So, overall it's still healthy. We're creating higher highs and higher lows. Like overall, we've gone up and down. What we don't want to see is it go up and then break and then break and then keep coming down here. So far, yeah, everything's okay. But for me, I would want to wait just to see what happens in here a bit early for my liking. All right, lucky last, Golem. Here we go, Golem. This whole thing is just bearish, right? This is going down. It had a really good run at the start, but after June of last year, it's just crashed, just down. Lower lows. I mean, we're starting to create. There's a higher high here, or not a higher high. I mean, it's higher than this, but we're still not higher than this. More immediately, price has come up, and then it's broken. It's broken the lows. It's broken the support here. So yeah, it doesn't look good at all. I guess it really depends on how you draw your support line. So you got one here. There was definitely support here because it's bounced like, what is that? 6 times? So that's like a whole week that it just sat there and did nothing. It just went sideways and came up. It tried to break the 50 and couldn't. It just got rejected and then smashed back down. So now we're at this point where there's this other previous area of resistance, and then if it falls through that, you're gonna see it come down to about here. So dangerous. Again, there's no deceleration. Prices, these candles are nice and big, right? So there's lots of selling pressure, but still no volume. So there's not many people trading. I mean, there's tons of volume here, but there's just like none here. So all it takes is one day of big volume to turn it around, but it just doesn't look very good so far. I mean, this is like, there's no wicks on these candles. Like, it opens at a high and then closes at the low. Like, where here it's opened and closed pretty much in the same area, right? So we opened up here, price has been sold off, but it got rejected and then pushed all the way back up here. So that's a nice healthy sign, right? That low test candle, and that's what we saw, right? So we got this recovery, came all the way up here, but these things are just opens high, closes low, that's it, we're done. Like, we give up, like, bang, smash down. So yeah, interesting spot. RSI is not even oversold. I mean, for me, this is not a buying for me. Just look at that, down. All these volume bars are all huge and red. There's no higher highs on the hourly. There's no higher lows on the hourly. It's just zigzagging all the way down. You've got a death cross there. What's the 4 hour? The death cross happened way up here. So 25th of January. It's just going down. Yeah, not great. There are better setups out there. So, all right, that's it for this episode of A Late Night TA. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. Hopefully it was good value for you all. I will talk to you guys in the next one.